Let's dive into the newscast with the latest coming on the vaccine front, as a host of European nations have now advised against administering the Oxford vaccine to the elderly. But a new study suggests that the AstraZeneca vaccine is effective among the elderly. According to the research, the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccine appears to be more than 80% effective at preventing severe illness among elderly and at-risk individuals after a single dose. The result is yet to be peer-reviewed. The research done at the University of Bristol analysed patients aged over 80 admitted to the hospital in Britain with respiratory illness. The researchers also looked at people who received one dose of the Pfizer vaccine. They found that a single dose of either Pfizer or AstraZeneca vaccine resulted in substantial reductions in risk of COVID-19 related hospitalizations. Even the WHO and the AstraZeneca developers have insisted that the vaccine is safe for but a host of countries around the world, including Belgium, Canada and France, have advised against giving the AstraZeneca vaccine to the elderly citizens. Now, it was last month that French President Emmanuel Macron called the AstraZeneca vaccine quasi-ineffective. Even Spain said that it would not give the AstraZeneca vaccine to people aged over 55. But in Britain, the vaccine has been a key pillar of the immunization drive, even among the elderly. The research adds more to the evidence that the vaccine is safe for the senior citizens. And for more insights, let's quickly go across to our guest, Dr. Julian W. Tang, who is an honorary associate professor and clinical virologist at the University of Leicester and is joining us live at this moment. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining our newscast. Now, firstly, I'd like to ask you, why did a host of nations like France, Greece, Canada, the Netherlands and Belgium have apprehensions about the AstraZeneca vaccine in the first place?
Yeah, so the initial clinical trials lacked a lot of elderly and BAME population members in the participants. So there was no data or very little data for those particular populations that received the vaccine. So what's happened is that the JCVI in the UK rolled out the vaccine to the UK population regardless, because they expected to be some effectiveness in those populations despite a reduced number in the clinical trials. And that has proven to be correct.
All right. Dr. Tang, what has the study now discovered which clarifies the confusion over the AstraZeneca vaccine? What are the benefits?
Well, this study has shown that in the over-80s and the elderly, over 65s at least, they are the AstraZeneca gives a good immune response and protects them from severe disease hospitalizations, which is what we expected, despite having a little data to show that in the actual clinical trials. And surprisingly, a large proportion, 80%, have actually shown a good response and benefited from that protection. So that's quite unusual and a surprising outcome for the elderly, who usually have a less effective response to the vaccines in real life.
Right. How would you rate the AstraZeneca vaccine compared to other vaccines?
So initially on paper, on clinical trials, it looks to be less efficacious, less effective than the other vaccines. But so far, after one dose in both the Scottish population and in the elderly population, the benefits have been much higher than expected from the original clinical phase 3 data from those clinical trials. So it's been a pleasant surprise and hopefully beneficial to other countries that have bought the AstraZeneca vaccine, including our European partners that initially refused to give it to the over 65s.
Right. Last but not least, Dr. Tang, how do you assess the timing of this study, considering it has arrived at a time when the UK will receive 10 million doses of the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine, 100 million, but 10 million of which will be produced in India's Serum Institute?
Yeah, so this is good news, and there is a lag time between the rollout of the vaccine and the real life effectiveness assessment. So this is about right in terms of timing. Don't forget the AstraZeneca vaccine was rolled out later, earlier this year, rather than end of last year, like the Pfizer vaccine. In fact, the data from both the Scottish population trials and the elderly population with the AstraZeneca vaccine have actually exceeded the expectations and also the performance in some studies, in the recent studies against the Pfizer vaccine after one dose. So that's very encouraging and hopefully benefits the other countries that have bought the AstraZeneca vaccine outside of Europe.
Absolutely. Here's hoping that the other countries open up to the study and actually welcome the AstraZeneca vaccine. Having said that, thank you so much, Dr. Tang, for joining our newscast.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.